Hallo miteinander, I'm Geshi6 and this is the Disappearing of Gensokyo. Last time, Kokoro unmasked herself as our second boss and was trounced in the following dance-off. We have left the urban environment behind us and traded it for a wilderness. That's really the best way to describe the setting of Stage 9. If we were to assign the generic grasslands and forest level to some place, it would go right here. Oh boy, Tenshi just admitted she likes it when Iku treats her a little too rough during training. The meme of masochist Tenshi has been around for years. Some folks find it to be in poor taste. I'm fine with it and amused, so long as the context doesn't make it overly filthy. Remember, Tenshi looks like a 9-year-old. Here's something new. If you press and hold F1 on the keyboard, you bring up a character tutorial. I've seen these as screenshots on DOG's Steam store page, but I did not know for the longest time they were integrated in the game. It was actually one of my viewers who told me of this function. Input is always appreciated. Thank you very much, Everyday Need. That's his nickname, not me randomly insulting someone. We've encountered a new enemy. Here are some more of them, feral wolves. It's another melee fighter, one that isn't as fast as the penguins, nor can it attack in the midst of running like the Karakasa do. So what is the wolf's significance? We're going to find out soon enough. Just like we're soon going to find out who the dangerous targets are that our objective speaks of. Both may be linked to each other. In the past, Stage 9 hasn't been a particularly troublesome chapter for me. It's an opportunity to spend time as our more neglected companions, like good old Mystia, a guitar heroine without compare. I really like the fan theory that she lacks all musical talent, as if we're fighting our foes with obnoxious crooked chords. Oh, you heard that? It's Kagero Imaizumi. Like Tenshi and Iku are pointing out, the feral wolves are her minions. As long as Kagero stays alive, she will occasionally summon more underlings in sets of 3 or 5. The puzzle of the matter is simple to solve. The wolves are just fodder. You want to make Kagero a priority target. Right here, Stage 9 mimics something we know from Stage 6. Just like we had to locate 3 black fairies then, we must now find and exterminate 3 specimens of Kagero. So how does she exist multiple times? Obviously, the Wolf Queen Kageros are phonies from the ranks of the outside invaders. We shouldn't be surprised. We had a false Tenshi, Alice, and I can't believe I've never mentioned this, fake Yoshikas. Of course those zombies can't be the real deal when there are often several ones attacking us at the same time. The true Yoshika is at the Azure Fortress. It's the one who has been unable to speak to us ever since. As you can tell from our radar, we are heading into a dead end at the northeastern corner of the map. If this isn't a niche for a magic piece, I don't know what would be. Indeed, it's there, but guarded by an extra powerful Kagero. This one has a shield layer on top of her health bar, and strangely does not affect our kill counter. We need to defeat the 3 specifically marked Kageros. No one said there couldn't be others. Apart from the mentioned magic piece, we also acquired a randomly dropped Chirno. She is always welcome, proving her worth again and again. On top of being a forest full of trees, Stage 9 also incorporates some kind of marshland. we can spot some small ponds here and there that don't look especially sanitary. If it weren't for Kagero's debut though, it would still be a pretty unremarkable place compared to what we've seen. That's one of the 3 wolf girls tamed. I like how she announces herself with the exact same howl that Touhou 14 uses. DOG does have a few stock sound effects. Perhaps you recall hearing Zun's classic Pichun from last episode. Many people seem to be confused what's fair to use in fan games. From my knowledge, sound effects are fine, but non-rearranged music, fully copied bullet patterns, and ripped sprites aren't. Neatly set on a peninsula next to a sickly looking tree is the second magic piece. Beware though, picking it up attracts a black fairy. It's the only one in the level if I counted right. Meanwhile, we have exchanged Mistia for Marissa, getting our typical team of choice. That's something that was bound to happen before too long. I may not regard Stage 9 as too challenging, yet we still have its climax on the horizon. We are on our way to the southwestern portion of the map. One of the arrows on our radar seems to point there. It is surely the hiding spot of another Kagero, an imposter of the hairiest Touhou. DOG gives them an aggressive personality. Canonical Kagero, however, is a person of great vanity who is somewhat ashamed of her beastly side. Before Touhou 14, fans attributed this disposition more to Kane, Ikikane, the original werebeast. Protected by a squad of penguins waits the target we were searching for. We take her out so easily, the combat banter didn't even start in time. It's a full moon today, so can you turn into a gorilla? What? I don't think I quite get that joke. I think there might not have been anything to get. Somehow that makes it even funnier. As an enemy, Kagero has never been too problematic for me. Apart from summoning wolves, all she has is a very generic spread shot. I find her much easier to handle than a white Tenshi or a black Alice. What we've seen from her during this episode did not redeem anything, nor prove me wrong. Our objective has changed. No more cautioning red arrows, we can follow a gentle blue arrow to the exit. Or can we? The fact that we have just activated a checkpoint tells us that the level is far from over. No, the most harrowing section is just ahead of us. We are caught in another arena encounter. Starting on a 77-second timer, it is the longest and largest one yet. Once again, the enemy waves won't wait for you to have tidied anything up. We must fight with everything we have, while still staying somewhat protective of ourselves. What's pleasant is that we have got a lot of room to maneuver. The terrain is very benevolent to a speedster like Marissa. Enemies may spawn far apart from each other, but it is only a matter of seconds until they have neatly bunched up and become easy prey for our deadly lasers. The most obnoxious critters to appear during this gauntlet are undoubtedly skull chariots. Their overall sturdiness makes it really likely for them to survive into another wave, and now we've got to deal with 3 at a time. Yikes. I really wanted to catch all of them in Marissa's bomb. It did not go as smoothly as I wanted it to, mainly due to the hit stun of their magma shots. Still, the timer is up, and after a short grace period, someone arrives. I would be happy to see one of my favorite Touhous, but we cannot be fooled anymore. This is not the perfect and elegant maid that we know. The edgier design gives it away. It is another fake. This one though seems strangely smart. No fantasies about double suicides, nor any shouting about tits. Also, Tenshi just said it, phony Sakuya has been turned vampire. By whom, I wonder? Remilia? More likely a false Remilia. Vampire Sakuya reveals that she was temporarily crazy, but reclaimed her sanity over time. She also brings up an orphanage. If you've checked the forum, you know that an orphanage was mentioned in one of the logbooks. No matter, Black Sakuya, as she's officially called, wants to fight. Her bullets come in strings and ricochet off walls. She's highly dangerous, but as Oku we somehow completely dominated the fight. The nuclear grenades have a dizzying effect on certain enemies, and apparently Black Sakuya is vulnerable to it. This stage is almost over, and we are still one magic piece short. Not to fret, we did not miss it, it is right here, held by a singular, sad sinsack. If that dude somehow kills you, please close the OG and never reopen it. With that, stage 9 has been conquered. To me it was the last stage I consider somewhat easy. Who would open up an orphanage indeed? Gorella the Kind, perhaps, who's not kind but horrible, so millions of Dragonborns have assassinated her because a small child told them to. Tenshi is about to bring up a good point. Now that we have met Black Sakuya, we should re-evaluate the Phantom Touhous. They may be invaders to Gensokyo, but their personalities might be more complex than we thought they were. Even though Black Sakuya did try to murder us back then, talking it out should not be completely hopeless. We learn that Misty Lake will be our next destination. We in fact saw its shores stretching along the area before we left. Iku's mentioning of Cherno is also not in vain. We are talking about the strongest fairy's home turf, so expect her to have a special significance for the coming episode. Overall, I really like Stage 9, contrary to how generic it first seems. For a change, the magic pieces were really easy to get, no strange puzzles had to be solved. The fact that you get the last one so late might make you a little uneasy. You could be led to thinking you missed something and sift through the level once more. What did I tell you about Kokoro getting to the Azure Fortress sooner or later? Here she is, and she's turned the impressionable children within our gang into adoring fans. Maybe that's why the Night Sparrow and Ice Fairy were absent from our base last time. They and Kokoro are getting along splendidly. It must have been only Tenshi who stepped on the Menreiki's feet. I'm starting to think diplomacy is not her strength. These three NPCs make up another cluster that I mentioned. Talking to whomever still leads to the same dialogue. It's hard to tell beforehand when that's the case. On to Kogasa. We made a lot of points this episode, but we're still a little short to improving Cherno. Next time should be it, I'm sure. Stage 9 is definitely a good place for farming. Stage 2, however, is still the best location in my opinion. You are just much less likely to die in the early game, and if you're willing to make those money runs, you want them to go smoothly at least. Something interesting if you're indeed willing to replay old stages. The spots at which you've already picked up magic pieces won't be empty. Duplicate pieces will instead be point icon boxes worth 50 each. They do make a difference. Oh, we're about to get to something I've been looking forward to. I distinctly remembered one NPC conversation from my past playthrough. Yoshika finally has something to say, and Oku will help us understand. What I like so much about this event is that it's a reference to the Touhou M1 Grand Prix. In case that means nothing to you, it's a series of humorous animations with the premise of there being a stand-up comedy contest that the residents of Gensokyo participate in. One of its sketches is about Yoshika speaking only in zombie language, so Orin translates for the others, just like Oku does here in DOG's case. They're conversing in their foreign babble, and Oku diligently keeps conveying its meaning. That is, until the punchline drops. It happens right here. Yoshika can communicate just fine. There is no zombie language. Oku was trolling, and Yoshika was only talking in gibberish because her rotten brain hadn't gotten its bearings yet. The original makers of the M1 Grand Prix would be Arnold, formerly Yellow Zebra, and while you could fault MyACG for taking someone else's joke, I honestly can't be offended. I immediately caught the homage and found it absolutely endearing because I love those animations. Some of the sketches I must have watched 10 or so times. We are bringing a grand total of 24 magic pieces to Byakuren today, and that will unlock the 4th line of perks. What a luxury that is! I did not expect to have that many as early as for stage 10. Here they are. The first perk increases our overall damage potential. We could also have a stronger shield if we value defense more, or have a constant, although very small regeneration, regardless if we've gotten hit or not. That last one might sound the least impressive, but it adds up. Really, all of the bonuses we just heard of are exquisite, their advantages will be felt. I think those were all of the NPCs. Overworked Raisin is probably locked off and bedridden somewhere. Bunny is at the point where she doesn't want to see us anymore. With that, I'm Geshe6, this was the Disappearing of Gensokyo, and next time, we're doing it like Okina and going in through the back door. Bis bald!